Hello viewers, welcome back to another video. It's day 22 I guess. No, it's day 23 I guess of me reading 20 minutes every day until I get better at speaking English. Yeah, so let's start today's read without any further delay because we are late and I have to get up early tomorrow. And let me set up the timer first. As always, I'll set up the timer of 21 minutes. Yep. So as I told you, I have to start from chapter number 16 today. I hope you all can see it. Yeah. So let's start today's read. In 1993, a bank in Abbotsford, Canada, hired a 23-year-old stockbroker named Trent Dismid. Abbotsford was a relatively small suburb, tucked away in the shadow of nearby Vancouver, where most of the big business deals were being made. Given the location and the fact that Dismid was a rookie, nobody expected too much of him, but he made a brisk progress thanks to a simple daily habit. Dismid began each mornings with two jars on his desk. One was filled with 120 paper clips, the other was empty. As soon as he settled in each day, he would make a sales call. Immediately after, he would move one paper clip from one full jar to the empty jar, and the process would begin again. Every morning, I would start with 120 paper clips in one jar, and I would keep dialing the phone until I had moved them all to the second jar, he told me. Within 18 months, Dismid was bringing in $5 million to the firm. By age 24, he was making $75,000 per year, the equivalent of $125,000 today. $75,000 per year, the equivalent of $125,000 per today. $125,000 today. Not long after, he landed a six-figure job with another company. I like to refer to this technique as the paperclip strategy. And over the years, I've heard from the readers who have employed it in a variety of ways. One woman shifted a hairpin from one container to another whenever she wrote a page of a book. Another man moved a marble from one bin to the next after each set of push-ups. Making progress is satisfying, and visual measures like moving paper clips or hairpins or marbles provide clear evidence of your progress. As a result, they reinforce your behavior and add a little bit of immediate satisfaction to any activity. Visual measurements comes in many forms: food journals, workout logs, loyalty punch cards, the progress bar on a software download, even the page numbers in a book. Perhaps the best way to measure your progress is with a habit tracker. How to keep your habits on track. A habit tracker is a simple way to measure whether you did a habit or not. The most basic format is to get a calendar and cross off each day you stick with your routine. For example, if you meditate on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, each of these days gets an X. As time rolls by, the calendar becomes a record of your habit streak. Countless people have tracked their habits, but perhaps the most famous was Benjamin Franklin. Beginning at age 20, Franklin carried a small booklet everywhere he went and used it to track 13 personal virtues. These lists included goals like lose no time, be always employed in something useful, and avoid trifling Avoid trifling conversations. At the end of each day, Franklin would open his booklet and record his progress. Jerry Seinfeld reportedly uses a habit tracker to stick with his streak of writing jokes streak of writing jokes. In the documentary Comedian, he explained that his goal is simply to never break the chain of writing jokes every day. In other words, he is not focused on how good or bad a particular joke is or how inspired he feels. He simply focuses on showing up and adding to his streak. Don't break a chain is a powerful mantra. Don't break the chain of sales calls and you'll build a successful book of business. Don't break the chain of workouts and you'll get fit faster than you'd expect. Don't break the chain of creating every day and you'll end up in an imp- and you'll end up with an and you will end up with an impressive portfolio. Habit tracking is powerful because it leverages multiple laws of behavior change. It simultaneously makes a behavior obvious, attractive, and satisfying. Let's break down each one. Benefit 1. Habit tracking is obvious. Recording your last action creates a trigger that can initiate your next one. Habit tracking naturally builds a series of visual cues like the streak of X's on your calendar or the list of meals on your food log. When you look at the calendar and you see your streak, you'll be reminded to act again. Research has shown that people who track their progress on goals like losing weight, quitting smoking, and lowering blood pressure are more likely to improve than those who don't. One study of more than 1,600 people found that who kept a daily food log lost twice as much weight as those who did not. The mere act of tracking a behavior can spark the urge to change it. Habit tracking also keeps you honest. Most of us have a distorted view of our own behavior. We think we act better than we do. Measurements offer one way to overcome our blindness to our own behaviors and notice what's really going on each day. One glance at the paper clips in the container and you'll immediately know how much work you have been putting in or haven't been putting in. When the evidence is right in front of you, you are less likely to lie to yourself. So this is making the habit obvious. It's making us obvious to act on that habit. That's what this basically means. Habit tracking is attractive. Benefit 2. The most effective form of motivation is progress. When we get a signal that we are moving forward, we become more motivated to continue down that path. In this way, habit tracking have an addictive effect on motivation. Each small win feeds your desire. This can be particularly powerful on a bad day. When you are feeling down, it's easy to forget about all the progress you have already made. Habit tracking provides visual proof of your hard work, a subtle reminder of how far you have come. Plus, the empty square you see each morning can motivate you to get started because you don't want to lose your progress by breaking the streak. Sorry, I was feeling very thirsty. It's a shame you had to see that. Where was I? Each small win feeds your desire. each small win feeds your desire. This can be particularly powerful on a bad day. Yeah, I already read this, right? A subtle reminder of how far you have come. Plus, the empty square you see each morning can motivate you to get started because you don't want to lose your progress by breaking the streak. Benefit 3. Habit tracking is satisfying. This is the most crucial benefit of all. Tracking can become its own form of reward. Tracking can become its own form of reward. It's satisfying to cross an item off your to-do list, to complete satisfying to, to complete an entry in your workout log, or to mark an X on the calendar. It feels good to watch your results grow. The size of your investment portfolio, the length of your book manuscript, and if it feels good, then you are more likely to endure. Habit tracking also keeps your eye on the ball. You are focused on the process rather than the result. You are focused on the process rather than the results. You are not fixated on getting six pack abs. You are just trying to keep the streak alive and become the type of person who doesn't miss workouts. In summary, habit tracking creates a visual cue that can remind you to act. It is inherently motivating because you see the progress you are making. Motivating because you see the progress you are making and don't want to lose it. And third, it feels satisfying whenever you record another successful instance of your habit. Furthermore, habit tracking provides a visual proof that you are casting votes for the type of person you wish to become, which is delightful form of immediate and intrinsic gratification. Delightful form of immediate and intrinsic gratification. You may be wondering, if habit tracking is so useful, why have I waited so long to talk about it? Despite all the benefits, I have left this discussion until now for a simple reason. Many people resist the idea of tracking and measuring. It can feel like a burden because it forces you into two habits: the habit you are trying to build and the habit of tracking it. Counting calories sounds like a hassle when you are already struggling to follow a diet. Writing down every sales call seems tedious when you have got work to do. It feels easier to say, I'll just eat less, or I'll try harder, or I'll remember to do it. People inevitably tell me things like, I have a decision journal, but I wish I used it more. Or, I recorded my workouts for a week, but then quit. I have been there myself. I once made a food log to track my calories. I managed to do it for one meal and then gave up. Tracking isn't for everyone, and there is no need to measure your entire life. But nearly anyone can benefit from it in some form. Anyone can benefit from it in some form, even if it's only temporary. We can What we can do to make tracking easier. First, whenever possible, measurements should be automated. You'll be probably be surprised by how much you are already tracking without knowing it. Your credit card statement tracks how often you go out to eat. Your Fitbit registers how many steps you take and how long you sleep. Your calendar records how many new places you travel to each year. Once you know where to get the data, add a note to your calendar to review it each week or each month, which is more practical than tracking it every day. Second, manual tracking should be limited to your most important habits. It's better to consider track. It's better to consistently track one habit than to sporadically track 10. Finally, record each measurement immediately after the habit occurs. The completion of the behavior is the cue to write it down. This approach allows you to combine the habit stacking method mentioned in Chapter 5 with habit tracking. The habit stacking plus habit tracking formula is: after a current habit, I will track my habit. After I hang up the phone, After I hang up the phone call from a sales call, I'll move one paperclip over. After I finish each set at the gym, I will record it in my workout journal. After I put my plate in the dishwasher, I will write down what I ate. These tactics can make tracking your habits easier. Even if you aren't the type of person who enjoys recording your behavior, I think you I think you'll find a few weeks of measurements to be insightful. It's always interesting to see how you have been actually spending your time. how you have actually been spending your time. That said, every habit streak ends at some point, more importantly, and more important than any single measurement is having a good plan for when your habits slide off track. And more important than any single measurement is having a good plan for when your habits slide off track, how to recover quickly when your habits break down. No matter how consistent you are with your habit, it is inevitable that life, life will inev- life will interrupt you at some point. Perfection is not possible. Before long, an emergency will pop up. You will get sick, or you'll have to travel for work, or your family needs a little more of your time. Whenever this happens to me, I try to remind myself of a simple rule: never miss twice. If I miss one day, I try to get back to it as soon as possible, as quickly as possible. Missing one workout happens, but I am not going to miss two in a row. Maybe I'll eat an entire pizza, but I'll follow it up with a healthy meal. Maybe I'll eat an entire pizza, but I'll follow it up with a healthy meal. It can be perfect, but I can avoid a second lapse. It can be perfect, but I can avoid a second lapse. As soon as one streak ends, I get the second one. I get started on the next one. The first mistake is never the one that ruins you. It's the spiral of repeated mistake that follows. Missing once is an accident. Missing twice is the start of a new habit. This is distinguishing feature between winners and losers. Anyone can have a bad performance, a bad workout, or a bad day at work. But when successful people fail, they rebound quickly. The breaking of a habit doesn't matter if the reclaiming of it is fast. I think this principle is so important that I'll stick to it even if I can't do a habit as well as or as completely as I would like. I think this principle is so important that I'll stick to it even if I can't do a habit or as do a habit as well or as completely as I would like. Too often we fall into an all or nothing cycle with our habits. The problem is not slipping up. The problem is thinking that if you can do something perfectly, then you shouldn't do it at all. You don't realize how valuable it is to just show up on your bad days, or busy days. Lost days hurt you more than successful days help you. Lost days hurt you more than successful days help you. That's a very good line. Lost days hurt you more than successful days help you. The successful days are the perfect days you envisioned. That I'll have a perfect day to act. So it's better to act on bad days than these perfect days. Sorry, it's the lost days which you lost hurt more than the successful days help you. If you start with $100, then a 50% gain will take you to $150, but you only need a 33% loss to take you back to $100. In other words, avoiding a 33% loss is just as valuable as achieving a 50% gain. As Charlie Munger says, the first rule of compounding never interrupt is the first rule of compounding: never interrupt it unnecessarily. Never interrupt it unnecessarily. Never interrupt it unnecessarily. Okay. This is why the bad workouts are often the most important ones. Sluggish days and bad workouts maintain the compound you acquired from previous good days. Simply doing something, simply doing something, 10 squats, 5 sprints, a push up, anything really is huge. Don't put up a zero. Don't let lose then don't let losses eat into your compounding. Furthermore, it's not always about what happens during the workout. It's about being the type of person who doesn't miss workouts. It's easy to train when you feel good, but it's crucial to show up when you don't feel like it, even if you do less than you hope. Going to the gym for 5 minutes may not improve your performance, but it reaffirms your identity. The all or nothing cycle of behavior changes the all or nothing cycle of behavior change is just one pitfall that can derail your habits. Another potential danger, especially if you are using a habit tracker, is measuring the wrong thing. Knowing when and when not to track a habit. Say you are running a restaurant and you want to know if your chef is doing a good job. One way to measure success is to track how many customers pay for a meal each day. If more customers come in, then food must be good. If fewer customers come in, then something must be wrong. However, this one measurement's daily revenue only gives a limited picture of what's really going on. Just because someone pays for a meal doesn't mean they enjoyed the meal. Even dissatisfied customers are unlikely to dine in and dash. Even dissatisfied customers are unlikely to dine and dash. In fact, if you are only measuring revenue, the food might be getting worse because you are making up for it marketing or discounts or some other method. Instead, it may be more effective to track how many customers finish their meal, or perhaps the percentage of customers who leave a generous tip. The dark side of tracking a particular behavior is that we become driven by the number rather than the purpose behind it. If your success is measured by quarterly earnings, you'll optimize sales, revenue, and accounting for quarterly earnings. If your success is measured by a lower number on the scale, and pay attention to this, if your success is measured by a lower number on the scale, you will optimize for a lower number on scale. You will optimize for a lower number on the scale, even if that means embracing crash diets, juice cleanses, and fat loss pills. The human mind wants to win whatever game is being played. You will optimize for lower number on the scale. If your success is measured by a lower number on the scale, you will optimize for a lower. You'll optimize for a lower number on the scale, even if that means embracing crash diets. What are crash diets? Juice cleanses and fat loss pills. The human mind wants to win whatever game is being played. The pitfall is evident in many areas of life. We focus on working long hours instead of getting meaningful work done. We care more about getting 10,000 steps than we do about being healthy. We teach for standardized tests instead of emphasizing learning, curiosity. We teach for standardized tests instead of emphasizing learning, curiosity, and critical thinking. In short, we optimize for what we measure. We optimize for what we measure. When we choose the wrong measurements, we get the wrong behavior. When we choose the wrong measurement, we get the wrong behavior. What does this mean? When we choose the wrong measurement, we get the wrong behavior. This is sometimes referred to as Goodhart's law, named after the economist Charles Goodhart. The principle states when a measurement becomes a target, when a measure becomes a target, it ceases to be a good measure. When a measure becomes a target, it ceases to be a good measure. Measurements is only useful when it guides you and adds context to a larger picture, not when it consumes you. Each number is simply piece of feedback in the overall system. Piece of feedback in a larger system. In our data-driven world, we tend to overvalue numbers and undervalue anything ephemeral, soft, and difficult to quantify. I mistakenly think the factors. Whoa, whoa, whoa! It's getting too hard, man. And by the way, we already finished the timer. I think 2-3 minutes ago. I don't care. It's getting interesting right now. I'll try to complete this page at least. Yeah, it's only one page. I'll complete it. In our data driven world, we tend to overvalue numbers and undervalue anything ephemeral, soft, and difficult to quantify, like emotions. Devalue, so we are devaluing those things, aren't we? I don't know. I think I don't understand this topic quite well. And undervalue anything ephemeral. What does ephemeral mean? Let me search it up. Ephemeral, lasting or used only for a short period of time. Lasting one day only. And ephemeral fever, lasting a very short time. Okay. Anything ephemeral, soft, and difficult to quantify. We mistakenly think the factors we can measure are the only factors that exist. But just you can measure something. But just because you can measure something doesn't mean it's the most important thing. And just because you can measure something doesn't mean it's not important at all. All of this to say it's crucial to keep habit tracking. All of this to say it's crucial to keep habits tracking in its proper place. It can feel satisfying to record a habit and track your progress, but the measurement is not the only thing that matters. Furthermore, there are many ways to measure progress, and sometimes it helps to shift your focus to something entirely different. Many ways to measure progress, and sometimes it helps to shift your focus to something entirely different. This is why non-scale victories can be effective for weight loss. The number on the scale may be stubborn. So if you focus solely on that number, your motivation will sag. But you may notice that your skin looks better, or you wake up earlier, or your sex drive got a boost. All of these are valid ways to track your improvement. If you're not feeling motivated by the number on the scale, perhaps it's time to focus on a different measurement, one that gives you more signal of progress, one that gives you more signals of progress. Okay, so you need something more stimulating. Is that what the writer mean? No matter how you measure your improvement, habit tracking offers a simple way to make your habits more satisfying. Each measurement provides a little bit of evidence that you are moving in the right direction, and brief moment of immediate pleasure for a job well done. Chapter summary. One of the most satisfying feeling is the feeling of making progress. A habit tracker is a simple way to measure whether you did a habit, like marking X on a calendar. Habit trackers and other visual form of measurements can make your habit satisfying by providing clear evidence of your progress. Don't break the chain, try to keep your habit streak alive. Never miss twice. If you miss one day, try to get back on track as quickly as possible. Just because you can measure something doesn't mean it's the most important thing. So today's read was very complicated. No wonder I wasn't able to focus on it yesterday, because I was in a different headspace, I think. That's why I couldn't understand most of it. Today I did understand better than yesterday. Even today I am not a good headspace, but I did read today and I did understand most of it. Like the last part, how to recover quickly when your habits break down. Knowing when and when not to track a habit. This part was very complicated. because I think it's related to economics mostly, because the way he was telling about uh, in our data-driven world, we tend to overvalue numbers and undervalue anything ephemeral, soft and difficult to quantify. We mistakenly think that factors can. These stuff are hard to understand for me right now. I did understand some of it, like you don't have to focus on one data, very specific data, and think that it's the most important measurement of your success. You can. There are other factors which also show your progress, but if they can be measured, it doesn't mean they are not important. They are also important. They also show your progress. It's just that they cannot be measured. Like for example, he took example of weight loss journey. In weight loss journey, your weight loss on a scale, on your weighing scale, is not the most important factor on your weight loss journey to see your progress. If you are not seeing progress in the weight loss scale, weighing scale, but there are other, it doesn't mean that you are not working out or it's not working for you, the weight loss journey. It just means that this measurements is not the most important thing right now. There are many things like your skin is glowing, your mood is better, you are in a fresher mood than you were before, and you wake up earlier, you have a good sleep. These are other measurements. We may not qualify as a measurement for weight loss because they don't have a scale or a measurement quantity, but they do show progress. Like every day you wake up good with a good state of mind, you know that this weight loss journey is working for you, right? I think that's what he meant by this whole topic. And before that, I already think it's very simple, like how we can recover when our habits break down. And he gave a method of never miss twice. Whenever you miss a day, it will happen that you will miss a day. There, but whenever you miss it, try to get back as soon as possible. Don't think of missing it twice. Try to get back the second day, even if it's just attending to that habit with a little bit of just a little bit of effort. Not effort, you put your efforts, but if it's even if the quantity is just very less, don't keep it zero, because he talks about the compounding rule by Charlie Munger. He says that the first rule of compounding is never uh, interrupt it unnecessarily, and don't let losers eat at your compounding. By losers, he means not acting at all. So, if you missed it once, it's okay. Try to get back the second day, even if it's just a little quantity. That's what he meant by 2 day rule. Never miss twice rule. That's it for this. And then he told us about what are the benefits of habit stacking. Habit tracking, like it makes it obvious, it keeps a visual cue to act on our habits, and then it makes it attractive, like it gives us some boost of motivation. Like if you see something grow, that it gives you a boost of motivation, and then you are supposedly more motivated to act on it again. It keeps you happy. That's what he mean by habit tracking is attractive. And then habit tracking is satisfying. By this he mean that uh, it becomes a reward. The habit of tracking a habit becomes a reward, that you have done this habit, and you get a sense of feeling of satisfaction that you did it. That's what he meant by habit tracking is satisfying after doing a habit. Hmm. So habit tracking creates a visual cue, and it's motivating because you see the progress you are making. and you don't want to lose it, and it's satisfying when you ever record another successful instance of your habit. It gives you satisfaction that I did it again, so it's satisfying. He also told us why the writer waited so long for mentioning this habit tracking method, because he thought that many people don't like the idea of habit tracking, because firstly they cannot follow some people cannot follow one habit. How can they make a habit of tracking a habit? Like, it's like two habits they have to maintain, like doing a habit, then the habit of tracking it. So it creates a lot of stress for people. So for this, the writer told us that you don't have to track everything. You should track one thing very consistently rather than trying to track 10 habits at once. And he also told us to try to automate most of our habit tracking. By this, he meant we should use uh, measurements from different apps or different sources to track our measurements. Like our credit card data store the supposedly our credit card data stores how many times we ate outside, so you can track it. It's already tracking it. You can analyze it in a period of time, like after a month you can track it how many times you ate outside this whole month. Then you get the analysis of the whole month. By So that's what he meant by automating the measurements. And he told us to keep the manual tracking to minimal. That's how you can succeed at habit tracking. He also told us to stack those habits with our habit which we are performing. Just after that, you have to perform the act of habit tracking. It's called habit stacking with Reddit in chapter 5. Yeah, that's what he meant. That's what we read today in chapter number 16, how to stick with good habits every day. Yeah, so today's was some of it was a complicated read, but it was a very good read today. I liked it. I hope you liked it also. You liked it as much as I did. If you didn't and have any suggestions, please comment down. And we'll start with chapter number 17 tomorrow. I hope you can see it. And I'll see you tomorrow. Until then, as always, go find your purpose, guys. It's very important.